Hello, welcome to this video. And in this video, we'll be building front desk RAG agent, which specializes in quotation request handling. So this is basically a chatbot which sits on the home page of any website. It handles user questions. It specializes in two particular things, which is the first one is ability to handle business inquiries. So this agent that we have here, business inquiry agent, is capable of handling any questions related to business, and also it can answer frequently asked questions from existing customers or other customers that visit the site, which is connected to RAG setup, which is basically vector database where all the data related to the business is stored. And it's also able to handle quotation requests, meaning you might have seen in some websites where they have a form which you can fill up, and then they'll send you the quotation of whatever service they're offering, right? Yeah. So this is that part, and which is connected to a tool which basically sends all the data which is gathered to the air table so that it's stored somewhere and salespeople can take it from there, or any other department from the company. We'll be building all of this using Flowise, and we'll be using n8n for automating the purpose, automating the details that we gathered in the quotation request that will be saved into the table. So for that part, we'll be using n8n, and for the rest, it's done on Flowise. So let me get out of this. So in order for us to build this flow, we need to gather details of a business, right? We need a specific business that we can implement this for. So it could be anything, but I came across this website which basically fulfills our requirement. So they also have the section on top. This site is called CBS, by the way, and on top they have a get a quote, wherein if you go inside, they have a form to fill in your details, and then you can click on submit so that it reaches them. And then on the home page, this business offers wide variety of services, as you can see. And for each of this these service, they have dedicated pages covering different parts of sub services, you might say. So we have this, and we also have quotation requests. So basically, whatever data we have inside these pages can be gathered and can be stored in our vector database, and basically our chatbot will handle all the questions that it receives from the users. And the other agent, which we have here, quotation request handling agent, will take care of the quotation request of this part. So yeah, so let's begin building. Let's look at this diagram once again. So first, let's tackle setting up the data. Basically, we're gonna get all the data from each of these pages and then store it inside a vector database. So I also forgot to mention that the Flowise and n8n that we're gonna be using are both hosted locally on my machine. So I'm running them locally. You can also use cloud versions. It's up to you. Yeah. So that's about it. And let's get started with the data part. So what I did was, let me show you this. So let me go back. Yeah. So I went into the sitemap of this business, of this website, and I gathered all the links, and I wrote a short script to go through all of those links, and then collect all the text content which is inside each of these pages. So that's going to be our main information, right? So let me show you that script very quick. So this is that JavaScript script that I wrote, which basically uses Cheerio. You might have heard about it elsewhere. You can use the Cheerio automation even in Flowise, but there's an issue with that. When you run the flow, what happens is it also grabs, along with the text content, also grabs some unnecessary junk within the page, like JavaScript functions and all the unnecessary data that we don't need to store in our database. So in order for us to get rid of it, we need to do some manual work. So that's why I wrote a short script using Cheerio. It, like I said, I grouped all the links together, and then wrote a small loop here which goes through each of those links, grabs HTML content, and then cleans it and basically replacing the script tab, which represents the JavaScript functions. It just replaces and clears all of those and cleans it, trims it, and then stores it in the form of markdown. So at the end of this script, what you get is a markdown file, basically a text file which has content in the markdown format, as you can see here. So this is the content that you see at the end. This is not the this is 100%. This is not 100% clean, which is spit out by the script. You will still have some garbage here and there, but you still have to clean it up manually. Once you clean it up, make sure everything is clean and clear. You can finalize this file, because remember, garbage in, garbage out. The data that you provide to your agent or your system is the most important thing. If that's incorrect or inaccurate, the results will reflect the same. So that's why I insist putting some time into this data collection, and then trying to clean up as much as possible and make sure everything is perfect before loading it into our database. So enough of this. So once we have gathered all the necessary information, cleaned up, everything's ready. Now let's load it up in our vector database. So right now, for our case, I'll be using a Pinecone as the vector database solution. Already have my account set up here. Let me go to this. Yeah, I already have an index, a simple index set up here, sample index. This has no content. In order for us to load the data that we have in the text file, first let's go to document stores, click on add new. Let's give it a name. Well, okay, let's give the business name Colorado. Okay, click on add, get inside. Now this is where we feed all our data for this loader. So we have a lot of options here. So this is the one which I was talking about, Cheerio web scraper. Like I said, it also collects a lot of junk. Beware of that. So that's why I'm going to select the text file, upload file. I'm going to quickly upload this. Where is it? Okay, go here, script, clean data text. Okay, open. Uploaded this. Now we need to split that huge file. So we're going to be using because your character text splitter. So this is the algorithm that we're going to be using to split, to basically chunk that huge file. So chunk size, probably we can, let's look at the file size. It has about 143 lines. So I believe we can just make chunk size of 50 and then chunk overlap for every maybe 15 characters. Yeah. Now let's preview chunks. So this is what we get. 20 of 1963. Oh, I mean, sorry. You should not look at the number of lines, but the content is pretty huge. Let's go back. Let's increase the chunk size. Probably increase it to 1000 and increase this to probably 200. 20% of the chunk size. Let's click on preview. It's still 106 chunks, still huge. Probably we can do 2000 chunk size and increase this to 400. On preview, 59 chunks, and this seems good. Right. This is a huge file, so I think 2000 chunk size would be ideal in our case. So let's click on process. Okay, it's still processing. Okay, once this is done, now I can click on more actions, upsert all chunks. Now this is where we create the vector embeddings for those chunks. So in our case, we'll be using OpenAI embeddings. I already have this credential saved. Strip new lines. Okay, let's leave this thing blank. Okay, for this we're going to be using the advanced model 002, and vector provider, it's going to be Pinecone. Where's Pinecone? Yeah, this one, Pinecone. I already have this key set up, and the index, call it sample index. Copy this, go back, paste it here. Namespace, it's going to be default. I'm not going to name it anything. And top k, number of chunks to retrieve. 4, I think 4 is ideal. Again, we still need to test it once we're completely done with the system. It's all about testing and making sure everything's fast and accurate. So search type is set to similarity. This is fine. Now record manager, I'm not doing it for this video. I'm just skipping it. But if you're doing it for a production app, it's a mandatory thing to do. For a simple video like this, I'm just quickly skip this and click on, okay, once everything's done, make sure everything's set up correctly. Once everything's done, save config, click on upsert. Let's wait for it. It's gonna take some time, still loading. Okay, it says it added 59 chunks. We have all this data here. We can also test. Basically, this is really important before we actually build our system, to make sure the data that we get from the database is accurate. Even if it's not accurate, we're still able to answer the kind of questions that's being asked by the users, and make sure it's not just hallucinating on its own. And this step is really important. Make sure to go through this, but for this video I'm just going to skip this part. This is the place where you can test the queries. If I go to the Pinecone interface, as you can see, it's uploaded all the 59 chunks in here. So once that's done, okay, we're done with the data part. Now we have all the data that we need in sitting in the database. Okay, so let's look at the agent now. So before moving on, I wanted to tell you something, which is that I actually built out the entire agent flow along with the n8n workflow, but that part just got really long. So the entire video just stretched for a really long time. So that's why I decided to build everything at once and then just go through all the components that's involved in there and try to explain in detail what's involved. So this is going to be very straightforward again, and also all the resources like I mentioned. The agent flow along with the n8n workflow will be available for you to download. So this is the let me go to this agent flow. Yeah, this is the agent flow that I built. Yeah, this is how it looks like, but don't feel intimidated. It's going to be very simple. I'm just going to go through each one of this and explain you in detail. So it all starts from the start node. So what we have assembled here is basically a sequential agent. And just like we discussed in our flow diagram here, we have a conditional agent which routes to two different agents. Each has their own responsibilities. Going back to the board here. So as you can see, the initial flow starts from the start node, which is connected to chat open API model. And along with that, for agent memory, I've connected this to my MySQL agent memory, which is running in my local. Like I said, everything is running in my local computer here. And the start node is connected to the condition agent. So this is the condition agent. If I open this parameter here, I've defined the system prompt, where I've explained it about two different teams, business inquiry team and also the quotation request team, and passing the human prompt here, which clearly describes its role and what it needs to exactly do. And once it's done, it also spits out this result in the JSON format with the key of result, and the enum value is going to be either business inquiry or quotation request. So based on this output, I've defined the condition here. So if the output is business inquiry, we have a endpoint called business inquiry, and for quotation request we have another endpoint called quotation request. If both of these fail, it'll pass on the flow to the end node, and which is the default one. Yeah, this one. So these are three endpoints that we have for this condition agent node. So starting from this business inquiry, I have set up an agent here. This business inquiry and opening the system prompt. I've defined a clear role for this system for this agent, and then saving this. Going back here, let me open this one. I have nothing here. So yeah, this has only one clear role, which is to get the details from the retriever tool from the database and pass it back to the user. So that can be done the retriever tool. I've connected this retriever tool, which is connected to our document store that we set up earlier. The document store vector is connected to retriever tool, and retriever tool is connected to our agent. This is how you connect external tools or additional tools to our agent, and the agent is connected to the end node. Otherwise, it will raise an error. And coming to our quotation request, Here the setup is slightly different. I've set up an LLM node. Along with that, I have a tool node which is connected to a custom tool. Basically, you could do the same thing that I did above for the business inquiry agent. You could set up another agent and you could connect this custom tool to the agent itself directly. But this, I think, gives you more control over the data flow. I'll show you how. When you open this additional parameters, I have set up this system prompt. Defined it's a clear role, and once it's done, I have not defined anything here. Basically, if you want to add multiple tools, if you want to connect multiple tools, it's much easier this way. You can set up the JSON structure output here, and then based on the value that you get out, you can do a lot more things. So this is just for extensibility purpose that I added the LLM structure. Otherwise, I would have gone directly to the agent, just like I did here for business inquiry agent flow. Yeah. Once this is done for LLM node is connected to tool node. You cannot directly connect a custom tool to LLM node. It has to go through this tool node, an external node. So this is connected to a custom tool. So this is the custom tool. Show you what it's doing exactly here. So this is basically making a request, right? It's making a request. Let me go back here. So as we know, LLM node, this particular quotation request node is responsible to gather quotation request details like name, email, the interest of service, and things like those. Once they're all in there, we pass that information to our custom tool, which is responsible for making a request to our n8n webhook workflow, sorry, so that all of this information that we gathered from that node can be saved into our Airtable setup. So this is what we are doing here. I've set up the URL, which is my local n8n instance, and also grabbing all the details that's available in the LLM node, like name, email, service of interest, and additional nodes, and taking all of it and making a post request to my instance so that everything can be saved. I'll show you that as well. So I click on save here, and then again, starting from this LLM node, this goes to tool node. It calls the tool. Once it's saved, we get back the response from. So that response is then parsed by another LLM node so that it can be summarized, right? As you can see here, your job is to read the response received in JSON format from save quotation request and summarize the details to the user. So based on the response that we get, it summarizes and returns back to the user. And yeah, and if these two conditions fail, it would just go back to a default LLM node, which acts like a friendly, it just converses with the users in a general manner. So it has no purpose, no real purpose to it. And that's the flow. Let's also look at a quick demo. So sorry, before going to the demo, I'll also show you the n8n flow. That's important. So this is the second part of it. So first part is building the agent, and then connecting this to n8n workflow is the second part. So like I said, this is the webhook. This is the instance running in my local, and there's a workflow with 3 nodes, which has webhook trigger, and I've added edit field so that I can map the input that it receives in a predictable manner, and then pass that information to our Airtable node so that it can save it. So if I open the webhook, this is a pretty simple webhook that I have, which accepts post request on this URL. And then what it does is it just maps the data that we receive in the webhook with name, email, service of interest, and additional nodes. The reason why I do this is very simple. It's just to achieve the predictability of input, right? Otherwise, let's say if some data is missing in between, and in that case we would just end up sending some wrong details to our Airtable request. So that's why, to achieve this predictability, I added these 4 keys, which will grab data from the webhook input. And once that's done, we pass on the same input to our Airtable instance. I'm mapping the same here. I connected this, and wireless to send name, email, service of interest, and notes. So these are the columns in my Airtable. I'll show you that as well. These one, name, email, service of interest, and notes, which I'm here. So once the mapping is done, this flow is set up. So that's it. So I can click on test workflow so that it waits for the webhook. And I go back to this Flowise agent, click on this part so I can start having conversation. Okay, it went to the conversation node this time because there's no intent. So let me ask for, I want to know about business. So this should actually trigger our business inquiry agent, which will pick up data from our database and then present it to us. As you can see, it triggered our business inquiry agent, which gave us all the necessary information along with the links, points to the right page of the website. It takes it to the IT services page, hosted cloud services, interactive touch displays. Yeah, this is fine. Now let's ask for quotation to quote. Yep. So this triggered quotation request agent. It's asking for my name, email address, service of interest. It's also listing all the services that's provided by the business, which is very clear. You say John, your email address is john@gmail.com. IT services, let's say IT services, no notes. Let's see what it does. Something went wrong. Okay. Quested webhook. Okay, looks like okay, it was stopped. So let me trigger it again. Okay, try again with the same details. Let's see what happens now. Quotation request. Okay, save. Okay, perfect. Your quotation request has been successfully saved, and here are the details. So these are the details that I provided there. And let me also take a look at my workflow. Yeah, this completed successfully. As you can see, these are the data. This is the data that we sent from our Flowise. And edit fails. Yeah, perfect. And this one also executed successfully. And if I go check my A table, it should appear. Yeah, this one. John. Yeah, perfect. So the details are now saved. That's it. So this is a simple workflow, I would say, combining RAG agent plus a custom requirement, which is collecting quotation requests within the same bot. So the possibilities are just endless. You can just go on adding multiple different features into this features and just keep on extending the bot by adding multiple different kinds of agents which are fine-tuned to do different tasks. I think that's it. So like I said, all of this, the flow, including the Flowise, the node structure, the flow, along with the n8n workflow, and whatever resources that I've used in this video will be available in the description. You can check it out. You can download it from there. And that's it for today. And if you have any special requests, please drop it down in the comment section. I'll take a look. And that should be it. See you next time. Thank you. Bye.